San Diego Padres postgame show.
Well, back here at Olympic Stadium in Montreal, we mentioned before about this was the 10th anniversary. Tony Gwynn in a Padres uniform, and he celebrated the first night by knocking in a run in his first at bat. How did he celebrate year number 10? Well, 3 base hits, and he's standing by with Bob Chandler down the field right now. Bob?
Okay, Rick. Well, yeah, 10 years ago he was 22 years old, and now you're at the ripe old age of 32 and 10 years of Major League experience under your belt, and a 3-hit day, including a triple, and hey, you had to run home too.
Yeah, you know, it was an exciting day for me. I mean, I got a chance to run around the bases, and I hadn't done that in a while, and you know, it was fun today. That's my style of baseball. That's the kind of baseball that I've played, I think, for the last 10 years, and you know, time has really gone by pretty quickly because I've had a lot of fun, and hopefully I can play a few more years and have a lot more fun.
Tony, I remember the early years. It was see the ball, hit the ball, and run like hell. I mean, what about the Tony Gwynn of today? A little more cerebral?
Well, it's basically still the same. It's just a little bit more technique involved, a little bit more thought process involved, and you know, once you get this much time in, they definitely have a way that they want to pitch you, and I think in this series we saw that because the defense was really overshifted against certain hitters, and Grissom was over in left center, and Vanderwall was kind of hugging the line, and Walker was over in right center. And when you're facing defenses like that, the pitchers have got to be sharp, and when they make mistakes, if they make a mistake in a spot that you like to hit the ball, you can take advantage of it. And today was just a classic example of that. I didn't really hit the ball extremely hard. The triple I hit was the best ball I hit today, but I just hit it in the right place because the defense was really out of position for the kind of pitch that he was throwing, and we took advantage of it today.
Padres haven't taken advantage of the Expos very much this year. I mean,
No.
the Expos had won 8 of the first 10, but winning these last 2 a pretty big lift. And how about Kurt Stillwell?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some guys in this series kind of break out of it. You know, Kurt was struggling a little bit. Darren had been struggling a little bit. Gerald had been struggling a little bit. I had been struggling a little bit. I mean, we had some guys who've been struggling, but the last 2 games we kind of broke out of it. And when we hit the ball like we're capable of hitting it, we'll hit it in bunches. And you know, this series, the last 2 games was a good example of that. But the Expos have definitely had our number this year. And after losing the first 2 games of this series, it was important that we come back and play them tough the last 2 and hopefully get out of here with a split. So I'm glad to be leaving town with a split, and now we can go on to Philly and hopefully play the kind of baseball we're capable of playing.
Tony, I hope I get to talk about you for 10 more years in a Padre uniform.
God, I hope so too. It'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, Tony Gwynn has been our guest, a 10-year man now. Let's go back upstairs to Rick Mundy.
Here in the first inning, Tony Gwynn knocks in the first run of the ball game on a fielder's choice. 1 run comes across, and the Padres have a 1-0 lead. Here in the bottom of the first inning, however, Marquise Grissom gets the Expos back in the ball game. Little bloop single down the right field line. That scores DeShields, and it's a 1-1 tie at this point. Lefty gets the side out, and it stays this way until the bottom of the 4th inning. Tim Walling breaks out of a 1-for-26 slide. He gets the double. That scores youngster Colburn. And it's a 2-1 Expos lead. Here's the top of that magical 5th inning, though. As the base hit, that scores Stillwell, and it's tied 2-2. Now the top of the 7th. Pinch hitting Oscar Azócar singles. That scores Stillwell, who was very busy in the day scoring runs, and the Padres have their first lead since that 2-2 tie. It's 3-2. Now the top of the 7th inning again. Tony Gwynn burns his center fielder DeShields, a triple over his head. That scores Azócar, and then the throw in by the cutoff man Foley gets away at third. Gwynn scores all the way, and the Padres lead it by a score of 5-2, but they're still not through in the 7th inning. They're going to add even more. Darren Jackson now gets in on the act. The attempt by Colburn in left field. They make that Vanderwall. It goes all the way to the wall. Sheffield scores, and it's 6-2. Here's Dan Walters, his 4th home run of the season. He just hit 1 foul with home run distance. This one stays fair, and the Padres at this point lead it 7-2. Top of the 9th inning, they get some more insurance runs, however, as Walters enjoying the home run and takes the nice, easy trip around home plate. He scores, and here's another pinch hitter, Phil Stevenson. That scores Sheffield, and the Padres at this point lead it by a score of 8-2. But are they through? Well, not hardly. Gerald Clark gets in the act. Gerald hustling down the first baseline. Good play by Wallach, but Clark beats it out, and Stevenson scores. It's 9-2. Here's the final out. Tim Scott, who relieved Mannix, who was on a relief of Lefferts, the final out. So the Padres win it by a score of 9-2, and Lefferts wins his 11th of the season. Gardner taking the loss for the Expos. His record moves to 8-8.